Good morning. Today is Sunday, July 23rd, 2023. And this is the weekly Bitcoin forecast. This is week number 14. So basically, we are looking at where Bitcoin has gone in the past week and where it could potentially go in the future. So as always, we'll start on the monthly chart. This has been a boring month. We're almost over with the month. And this little white candle right here is the month of July. As you can see for this year, the only other time that we had this little price volatility was like December of last year. So, I mean, January was a huge month. February was indecisive, but still moved quite a bit up and down. March was a huge month. April was kind of the same way as July, but even still, you saw more up and down volatility there from top to bottom. May was a down month, and then June was a pretty big up month as well. But July is just not going anywhere. There haven't been any real major news stories that have come out. The big one within the last couple weeks has been Ripple and their win in court with the SEC. Basically, the judge saying that secondary sales of Ripple are not considered securities contracts, which is a huge win not only for Ripple but for the rest of the crypto space. But outside of that, there really haven't been any major news stories. I mean, as we can see right here, this was June. That's July. We're on the weekly chart now. So yeah, this is July, and we are finishing out this weekly candle here. Ever so slight downtrend here after this major rally in June. I think that was like the third week of June, but like this major rally right here, we didn't really do anything for the rest of the time. We've been very much so sideways for the rest of the for the month, for the whole month here. So basically, I mean, I still see the same couple scenarios that I always have. Considering that we haven't gone anywhere in price means that I don't necessarily have to change my forecast, but we're gonna look at it anyway. So this is, we'll change this to red and get rid of the border. Get rid of the border, change that to red. So this will be basically what we're looking at. Did that extend? There it is. Yep. Okay, so price basically has a couple places that it can go. Right now we've come down and touched this blue line. And matter of fact, I have a blue background now, so this blue line is a little deceiving. You can't really see it. But anyway, we came down here, touched this blue line, 200 moving average, exponential moving average. And I think we're at the point where we could see some type of rally to the upside. I mean, you see all this sideways price action. Eventually there has to be a move. I don't care if it's up, down. Doesn't matter to me, as long as, at a certain point we just got to get out of this left and right motion. So very, very stable on price over the last month. So it's been very interesting. I didn't really expect that. I thought we'd see a little bit more of a rally in June, but either way, still pretty good. And actually, I think I've said in the past, like July is historically a positive month. So I mean, we got about 7 days to see if that pattern ends up playing out. Historically, July will usually give about 8% returns on Bitcoin. Somewhere in that ballpark. The last 3 years have been even better though. So this little sideways price action is interesting. So where does that leave us pretty much? So we have a couple different places that we can go. This is the daily chart. Again, we're in this very tight range here. Very tight range. I still think that we could sink down to some of the moving averages like 29, 28. And if I sink down to the 4-hour chart, I could probably visualize it a little bit better. Let's take a look here. We're still very much so at 30,000. I mean, this is that major stronghold that we've been having for weeks, months, years, actually, if we go back. So this is the first time it hit 30,000 in September of 2020 on that major price rally. But if we do this, I can draw you a huge support zone that we've had for years, right? Where does that go down to? I think we can probably put this up. 32? Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, so 32. So once we break past about 32,000 and get like a solid close, and I do mean like a good weekly or daily close above that, then I think we can fly pretty quickly up to 38, 40,000. Until then, we're going to continue to range, or we're going to go back down to grab some liquidity and then come back up even stronger. So with that, we got a couple things that we can look at. I think right now, I'll go down to the 4-hour chart. right now what I'm seeing is we could come back down to this area. So we have this, pull that over here. That is a zone that we could come to. Let's take a look here. I think that's probably the most likely scenario at this point. Like let's say where 30,000 is. So 30,000 is right here. So I mean, as you can see, like we've been breaking below this pretty consistently. So like this 30,000 is not holding as well as it did in the past. Because like I was priding Bitcoin for a long time on the fact that, oh, you couldn't break 30 here, couldn't break 30 here, couldn't break 30 here, barely broke it here. You know, and then for all this time couldn't break 30. But I think we're starting to, I mean, it's a very clear downtrend line right here. Take a look here. Yeah, that's almost picture perfect. You get a nice little downtrend line right here that looks like it could continue. I mean, you had this major drop here. Probably the 14th. I want to say this is like Binance news or something, like news of them potentially laying off like 1,000 workers or something. It was just a huge candle that came at the end of the previous Friday. But yeah, I mean, this week price did absolutely nothing. Like we had a little pull up to about 30,300 and then an absolute rejection. Well, actually it hit right at this trend line right here. And then an absolute rejection down to about 29. And we've stayed below 30,000 ever since that one candle. So at this point, I kind of just wanted to dump. Like you could go, the lowest I think I could see us going is maybe 27, and even then that's a stretch. I'm thinking somewhere in the range of about, it's 28.6. Yeah, we could go down to 28. We could go down to 28 at the lowest, is what I would see. But once you start getting there, I mean, we're already pretty much in bull territory, right? The lower you go, the more into bull territory you get, and the more chance that you have a major rejection up to the upside. But I do believe it would be advantageous for sellers to go ahead and dump it down. I mean, this will be their last rally, and then like we'll come back up. Long term, the direction is up. I don't care if it goes down a couple thousand or whatever. I mean, you can, if you're a trader, you can make money both ways. But let's see kind of what we have here. So we'll take a look here. It could go down to here, and I have a blue background now, so I need to change that. I think we'll do something like this, and then finally come through. Change this to yellow. I think we could also potentially do one of these, to where we come down, kind of bounce up here, 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 finally get to 8,000. We'll come back up, hit a little bit of resistance right here. Again, this is 30. They'll try to turn that into support, but they'll try to turn that into resistance, but we'll probably bounce around for a little bit right here and then shoot right back up. But I think you could see some pretty violent moves to the upside if we actually do go down that far. So let's take a look here. Change up the green. Yeah, change up the green. And again, you could come back down to about 28,000. I think that's about as low as we can go. Just because, again, that's one of the last major places that we've produced imbalance, and then also assisting in the fact that we've been holding strong at 30,000. So it's like if we can't break 30,000, it's going to be harder to break 29,000, which means it's going to be harder to break 28,000. And again, it's a very round number, right? It's not it's going to be pretty hard to break. So yeah, we could do that. I don't see us at this point going straight up. We've attempted that for weeks at this point, all the way going back to what was that, the end of June. So yeah, I just don't see us going back up in that direction. I think the healthiest move at this point, and just to kind of get all this nonsense over with, would be to come down and then go back up. But again, we will see. You never know what's going to happen with price, but all you can do is potentially is wait, right? Another thing I want to look at, and I'll hide these drawings if I can. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So with that, I want to look at the parabola. I want to look at where we've come from in the past couple weeks. So if I zoom out, really, I'm looking more so at a yearly. Like, what did we do in the past year for real? And I think I've been saying this for a while. It lines up very beautifully. So if we do this and we pull this parabola here and we pull it down and kind of make it to where it matches the curve. So somewhere in the neighborhood of about right here. We do that. And then we come back up here, make that a little bit more. Yeah, probably right there. About right there, you get a pretty good look at the parabola. So if we zoom out a little bit, we can see that this price has been like following this parabola pretty consistently for the past several weeks. Well, really for the past year is what it comes down to. And we can actually smooth that out a little bit more. Bring this in just a tinge. Yeah, roughly something like that. You get the picture. So again, we come down, we touched this parabola and we came down. We tried again to break up, couldn't do it, came all the way down, then we started breaking up again. And now we're at this key $30,000 range that we keep talking about. And we still have yet to break that. So we had the attempt here, we had a major attempt here, and then we've had 4 weeks worth of attempt here. And just absolutely couldn't do it. So this upcoming week could be the one. You never know. You just gotta kind of have to always be paying attention. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that ends up working out. So yeah, that's the parabola. The one other thing I want to look at is the Bollinger Bands, because I found that to be pretty interesting. We'll take matter of fact, let's just delete all the drawings. Remove all 11 drawings. We'll take the indicators off too. And the only one that I want to add is the Bollinger Bands and the widths. Bollinger Band width and Bollinger Bands. So if we take a look here, make that yellow so it's easier to see. And we will make these white. I will make this green, and I will make this red. Just to not contrast with the background. So if we look at the Bollinger Bands right here, right? So we're on a daily chart. Well, now we're on a daily chart. If we look in and we zoom, you can see right here, these are very tight. Like the Bollinger Bands are very tight in relation to the top and bottom compared to what, this expansion was here, and this and this and all this, like, very, very, I mean, this was a moment here, but basically what I'm saying is once you start getting this tight, eventually the only place that you can go is an expansion. I don't care if it's up or down, but again, there will be some type of expansion, I believe, in the near future. So if we go down here and take a look, let's do this. So right now we are at one of the lowest points that we've been really in recent history on the Bollinger Band. So we're like, we touched this low point about 0.03. That's about as close as the bands got. You had this move here that kind of helped expand them a little bit, but you see it's already on the way back down. If we just keep going over, there was another point here in early January that we had some very tight Bollinger Bands, and you see exactly what happened next. Like there was an explosion. Explosion of price that just continued on for the rest of the year. And I mean, we had about a 100% move. And if we just keep on going and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, I don't think this happened again since about 2020. I was last looking at it. So I think it's about right here. Yeah, so about right here, we had a very tight set of Bollinger Bands. Or matter of fact, it was right here. A very tight set of Bollinger Bands right here. I mean, these were pretty tight too, but I mean, this is like the kind of low point. Again, that 0.03. What we saw after that was just an absolute expansion of price. So really over, we still kind of ranged a little bit for about another 3 months after that. But once you started once you saw something like this, again, number one, you did have a big explosion of price. What was that? That went from like 9,000 to 12,000. So that's about a 33% move. So that's pretty good. And then on top of that, what you see is like we see this major run up in 2020, this huge run up in July that ends up being pretty significant. So let's see if there were any other instances where like the Bollinger Bands were that tight. I don't think so. Okay, this was 2018. That was the end of 2018. And then again, probably about another, how many months was that? That was another 4 months, and then you started seeing another price explosion here, and that accounted for 253%. So I mean, again, a huge move in a short amount of time. So I mean, something to be looking at. That's just one of the tools that I like to use. I think it's a neat one for sure. But outside of that, I really don't have a ton else to talk about this week on the Bitcoin forecast. Again, it's been a very short week, and ironically, this has been one of my longer videos. But there wasn't really much that actually went on, except for the fact that we've finally started to breaching under 30K. I think we could see that dip down, but again, you never know. We'll see when we get there. So again, take care. Have a great trading week. Just have a great week in general, and then we'll see you on the moon. Take care.